Good morning, beautiful soul. There may be something in your life right now that looks impossible. You may be looking at your circumstances and thinking, how could this ever change? Perhaps the door seems closed. Perhaps the opportunity seems gone. Perhaps the person you desire seems too far away. Perhaps your dream feels bigger than your current reality. And everywhere you look, reality appears to be giving you the same answer: no. But before you accept that answer, stop, take a deep breath, and remember this. What you see right now is not necessarily the final chapter of your story. Your present circumstances are a picture of where you are, not a command telling you where you must remain. Today, you are going to practice something different. Instead of staring at what is missing, you will turn your attention toward what you desire. Instead of asking, how can this possibly happen? Ask, what would I feel if it had already happened? Close your eyes. Imagine receiving the news you have been waiting for. Imagine walking into the opportunity you once thought was impossible. Imagine looking at your life and realizing that the situation has completely changed. Feel the relief, feel the gratitude, feel the peace, feel the quiet certainty. You don't need to know every step. You don't need to understand how circumstances will rearrange. You only need to become familiar with the feeling of the fulfilled desire. Because when you repeatedly rehearse the impossible, you strengthen fear. But when you repeatedly enter the feeling of fulfillment, you strengthen possibility. So this morning, do not let appearances have the final word. Let your imagination speak. Let your faith speak. Let your chosen state speak. And when reality says, it can't happen, quietly answer, I am not finished imagining. Take another deep breath. Release the need to figure everything out right now. For the next few moments, enter the state where the thing you desire is no longer something you are desperately chasing, but something you can already experience within. Let's begin. When reality tells you that something is impossible, the first thing you must learn to do is stop giving your present circumstances the authority to define your future. What you see around you may be real in this moment, but it does not mean it is permanent. A difficult financial situation is a present condition. A closed door is a present condition. A rejection is a present condition. A delay is a present condition. None of these things have to become a permanent identity or a final prediction of what your life can become. Too often, people look at what is happening now and immediately conclude that it will always happen. They turn a temporary situation into a permanent belief. This is where you must interrupt the pattern. Take a moment and consider how often you have said, this is just the way my life is. That sentence may sound harmless, but it can become a powerful limitation when repeated continuously. Perhaps you have experienced disappointment several times, and your mind has decided that disappointment is your destiny. Perhaps money has been difficult, and you have started thinking that prosperity is simply not meant for you. Perhaps a relationship did not work out, and now you believe that love will always be painful. Perhaps an opportunity disappeared, and you decided that your chance has passed forever. But your past experiences are not required to become your future experiences. You can learn from what happened without making it your permanent expectation. This morning, remind yourself that asterisk, your current circumstances are a snapshot, not a sentence. Asterisks. A photograph captures one moment, but it does not tell you everything that happened before the picture or everything that will happen afterward. Your current reality is similar. It shows you where you are standing right now, but it does not reveal every possibility that exists beyond this moment. When something appears impossible, Resist the temptation to immediately ask, how can this happen? Instead, ask a different question, asterisk. If this were possible, what would I feel? Asterisk. That question moves your attention away from the limitation and toward the experience you desire. Perhaps you would feel relief. Perhaps you would feel gratitude. Perhaps you would feel peaceful, confident, loved, successful, or free. Begin becoming familiar with that feeling. Imagine yourself several months from now looking back at the problem that currently seems so overwhelming. Imagine saying, asterisk, I remember when I thought there was no way forward. I had no idea how things would change, but somehow they did. Feel the relief of that future moment. You do not need to know the exact path. You are practicing the emotional experience of the outcome. This is important because fear constantly demands evidence. Fear says, show me proof before I believe. But if you only believe in possibilities after they become visible, you will always be following circumstances rather than creating a new direction for yourself. Your task is to stop making today's appearance the final authority. Say to yourself, this is where I am, but it is not where I must remain. My present circumstances can change. Asterisk. I am open to possibilities beyond what I can currently see. I refuse to make temporary conditions permanent. My future is not limited to my past. Let these statements settle deeply within you. This does not mean ignoring practical reality. If you have a financial challenge, you can still create a budget, seek opportunities, learn new skills, or make responsible decisions. If you are facing a relationship problem, you can communicate honestly and make healthy choices. If you want a career change, you can take practical steps toward it. Inner belief and practical action do not have to be enemies. The important thing is that your actions are not driven entirely by the assumption that you are doomed to fail. Acts from possibility. If you believe there is a possibility of improvement, you become more willing to take the next step. If you believe nothing can change, you may stop looking for solutions altogether. This is why your internal assumption matters. It influences what you notice, what you attempt, and what you are willing to continue pursuing. Whenever reality contradicts your desire, do not panic. Pause, take a breath, look at the situation honestly, then remind yourself, this is information about the present, not a prophecy about the future. You can accept what is happening without accepting that it must always happen. You can acknowledge the obstacle without becoming the obstacle. You can recognize the problem without becoming obsessed with the problem. And you can continue imagining a better possibility. Throughout the day, whenever you catch yourself saying, it will never happen, replace it with, I don't know how it will happen, but I remain open to the possibility. That sentence creates space. Space for a new idea, space for an unexpected opportunity, space for a different decision, space for circumstances to change, space for your own growth. You do not need to force yourself into absolute certainty. Begin with openness. Sometimes the first step is simply moving from impossible to asterisk, possible. Then move from possible to asterisk, I am willing to believe. Then from belief to asterisk, I will live today from that possibility. This is how you stop allowing circumstances to dictate your inner world. So today, look at whatever seems impossible in your life and remember, it may be true today without being true forever. Your current bank balance is not your entire financial future. Your current relationship status is not your entire emotional future. Your present struggle is not your permanent identity. Your current limitation is not the complete measure of your potential. Take another deep breath and say, I release the need to make today's circumstances my permanent story. I choose to remain open. I choose possibility. Asterisk. I choose faith in a better outcome. Then continue your day calmly. Do what you can, learn what you need to learn. Take the practical steps available to you, but inwardly refuse to surrender your future to a temporary snapshot. What you see is where you are, not necessarily where you are going. And when reality says, asterisk, this is impossible, asterisk, quietly remind yourself, this is only the present. My story is still unfolding. When reality tells you that something is impossible, do not spend all your energy staring at the problem. Turn inward and experience the feeling of already having the solution, the opportunity, the relationship, the peace, or the success you desire. The mind naturally focuses on what it sees, but your imagination gives you another place to direct your attention. Instead of repeatedly asking, why don't I have this yet? Begin asking, if this were already mine, how would I feel? That question changes your focus from absence to fulfillment. You are no longer rehearsing the problem. You are practicing the emotional experience of the outcome you want. Take a quiet moment and close your eyes. Imagine that the thing you have been hoping for has already happened. Do not worry about the exact details of how it happened. You do not need to construct an elaborate story. Simply create one small moment that would naturally occur after your desire has been fulfilled. Perhaps you receive a message saying, congratulations. Perhaps someone you love looks at you and says, I am so happy for you. Perhaps you look at your surroundings and realize that the situation has finally changed. Perhaps you are sitting quietly, smiling, because you know the thing you once worried about is no longer a problem. Choose a scene that represents completion. Now enter that scene. Do not watch yourself from far away. Imagine seeing through your own eyes. Hear the words. Feel the emotion. Notice the details. Most importantly, experience the feeling of relief. Perhaps your shoulders relax. Perhaps you breathe more deeply. Perhaps you feel gratitude rising within you. Perhaps you smile because you no longer need to wonder whether it will happen. That feeling is what you are practicing. You are not simply imagining an object or event. You are becoming familiar with the inner state associated with having it. If your desire is financial abundance, do not only imagine numbers. Imagine the peace of knowing your needs are covered. Imagine paying for something without fear. Imagine looking at your finances and feeling calm rather than anxious. If your desire is love, do not only imagine a particular person. Imagine the feeling of being valued, respected, understood, and deeply connected. Feel what it is like to know that you are loved. If your desire is success, do not only imagine a title or achievement. Imagine the satisfaction of completing something meaningful. Feel the confidence of knowing that you followed through. If your desire is freedom, imagine waking up without the pressure that currently weighs on you. Feel the lightness, feel the space, feel the peace. This is the difference between wanting something and experiencing it inwardly. Wanting often says asterisk, I hope this happens someday. The fulfilled state says asterisk, I know what it feels like to experience this. You do not need to force yourself to believe that everything has physically changed this instant. You are practicing the emotional state that you want to become familiar with. You are giving your mind a new direction. And when you do this consistently, you may begin noticing that your inner conversation changes. Instead of constantly saying, what if it doesn't happen? You begin asking, what would I do if I trusted that it could? That shift can influence your behavior. You may become more confident. You may take a step you were previously afraid to take. You may notice an opportunity that fear previously caused you to overlook. You may communicate differently. You may stop sabotaging yourself. You may become more willing to act. The inner state does not replace practical action. It can help determine the attitude from which you take action. Now imagine waking up tomorrow as the person who already feels fulfilled. How would you begin the morning? Would you immediately panic about the future? Probably not. You might feel calmer. You might feel grateful. You might move through the morning with greater confidence. Practice that now. Say, I know the feeling of fulfillment. I allow myself to experience it now. Asterisk. I can feel peaceful before everything is visible. I can feel grateful before I see every result. I am open to the possibility that my circumstances can change. Let yourself experience those words. If doubt appears, do not fight it. Simply return to the scene. See yourself already there. Feel the relief. Feel the gratitude. Feel the quiet certainty. Then release the scene and continue your day. You do not need to spend every minute imagining. A few sincere moments can be enough to remind yourself of the state you want to occupy. And when reality looks opposite again, return. If you see a delay, return. If you experience disappointment, return. If someone tells you it is impossible, return. Your imagination becomes your place of renewal. The outside world may present one picture, but you can choose which picture you repeatedly rehearse within. Remember, you are not trying to escape reality. You are refusing to allow reality to become the only thing your mind can imagine. Your present circumstances may say, not yet. Your imagination can say, asterisk, this is possible. And sometimes possibility is all you need to take the next step. So close your eyes once more. Imagine the moment when you realize your desire has become real. Feel the relief, feel the gratitude, feel the peace. Let yourself smile and say, this is how it feels to experience what I have been hoping for. Then carry that feeling gently into your day. Do not force it. Do not obsess over it. Simply remember it, because when reality says, asterisk, it is impossible, you can turn within and practice the feeling of, it is already possible. Enter the feeling. Become familiar with fulfillment. Then let that inner state guide the way you live, think, and act today. When reality appears to contradict what you desire, doubt can become extremely persuasive. It points to everything that is missing, everything that has gone wrong, and everything that seems impossible. It tells you to look only at the evidence in front of you. But if you allow doubt to become your constant inner conversation, you may begin rehearsing the very outcome you do not want. Instead, you can deliberately strengthen your imagination. This does not mean denying what is happening around you. It means refusing to let present appearances become the only future you can see. Think about how often you imagine unwanted outcomes without even realizing it. You imagine the conversation going badly before it happens. You imagine losing an opportunity before you have even tried. You imagine your finances getting worse. You imagine someone rejecting you. You imagine failure, disappointment, embarrassment, and regret. Then you wonder why you feel anxious before anything has actually happened. Your imagination has already rehearsed the negative outcome. The mind does not always distinguish between a vividly imagined possibility and an actual event emotionally. That is why your inner pictures deserve your attention. So when doubt begins speaking, change the picture. If you are worried about an upcoming conversation, imagine yourself remaining calm and communicating clearly. If you are hoping for an opportunity, imagine yourself receiving good news and feeling grateful. If you are working toward a goal, imagine yourself completing it and experiencing the satisfaction of success. If you are facing uncertainty, imagine yourself moving through it with confidence and discovering a positive path forward. Do not spend your imagination repeatedly proving that the worst outcome is inevitable. Instead, practice the outcome you desire. Close your eyes and create one simple scene. See yourself after the desired result has already happened. Perhaps you are sitting quietly with a smile on your face. Perhaps someone congratulates you. Perhaps you are looking at an email that contains the answer you wanted. Perhaps you are telling a loved one, "It finally worked out." Choose a scene that feels natural to you. Then make it real within your imagination. Hear the words, feel the emotion, notice the environment, experience the relief. Let yourself believe for those few moments that this is your reality. The purpose is not to force yourself into excitement. You may find that the most powerful feeling is actually calmness. Perhaps you simply feel that everything is finally okay. Perhaps your mind becomes quiet. Perhaps your body relaxes. That feeling of naturalness can be more powerful than trying to create intense emotion. Now imagine what happens when doubt returns. It may say, "But look at your circumstances." You answer, "I see them, but I do not have to let them determine everything I imagine." It may say, "There is no evidence." You answer, asterisk, "I am open to possibilities that are not visible yet." It may say, "You have failed before." You answer, "My past does not have to repeat itself." It may say, "This is impossible." You answer, "I am willing to believe that circumstances can change." You are not arguing with doubt. You are simply refusing to give it complete control. This distinction is important. You do not have to destroy every negative thought before you can move forward. Thoughts will come and go. Your power is in choosing which thoughts you repeatedly return to and nourish. A doubtful thought can appear without becoming your belief. Fear can appear without becoming your decision. A difficult circumstance can appear without becoming your identity. You can notice it and choose again. Throughout the day, make your imagination a place you can return to. You might take 30 seconds during a busy moment, close your eyes, breathe, and remember the fulfilled scene you created in the morning. Feel that sense of relief again. Then open your eyes and continue with your practical responsibilities. This is not about spending the entire day disconnected from reality. It is about giving your mind a better direction when it starts spiraling into fear. Your imagination should become a source of possibility. When you see an obstacle, ask, "What would I imagine if I believed there was a solution?" When you experience rejection, ask, asterisk, "What would I imagine if I believed another opportunity could appear?" When you feel behind, ask, "What would I imagine if I trusted my journey could still unfold beautifully?" These questions move your attention away from limitation. And attention matters. What you repeatedly look at internally becomes familiar. What becomes familiar can begin to feel natural. So choose carefully what you rehearse. Do not repeatedly rehearse the conversation where everything goes wrong. Rehearse the conversation where you remain calm. Do not repeatedly rehearse the moment of failure. Rehearse yourself completing the task. Do not repeatedly imagine yourself being rejected. Imagine yourself being received, respected, and valued. Do not repeatedly imagine your future becoming worse. Imagine yourself becoming stronger, wiser, more capable, and more peaceful. This does not guarantee that every imagined event will happen exactly as pictured. Life contains many variables, but it changes the state from which you approach your life, and that can change the choices you make and the possibilities you are willing to pursue. Your imagination can become a rehearsal room for courage, a rehearsal room for peace, a rehearsal room for confidence, a rehearsal room for abundance, a rehearsal room for fulfillment. So this morning, make a decision. I will not use my imagination only to frighten myself. Asterisk. I will use it to practice possibility. I will imagine the outcome I desire. I will return to that feeling when doubt appears. I will remain open to unexpected ways forward. Asterisk. Then take a deep breath, feel the possibility, and remember, reality may show you what is happening now, but your imagination allows you to practice what could happen next. Asterisk. Do not let doubt become the most creative voice in your mind. Strengthen your imagination, rehearse the state you desire, and give possibility a place to live within you. There comes a moment in every meaningful transformation when the outside world seems to challenge everything you have chosen to believe. You may have imagined the outcome you desire, felt the relief of having it, and decided to move forward with confidence, only to look around and see circumstances that appear completely unchanged. This is where persistence becomes essential. Persistence does not mean forcing yourself to pretend that something has already physically happened when it has not. It means refusing to allow temporary appearances to completely determine your inner state. When the world says nothing has changed, you can calmly remind yourself, asterisk, this moment does not have to be the final result. Many people give up because they expect immediate evidence. They make a decision to think differently, but when the external situation does not change quickly, they return to the old assumption. They say, I knew it wouldn't work, or nothing ever changes for me. In that moment, they are allowing a temporary circumstance to become a permanent conclusion. Instead, practice staying with the state you have chosen while continuing to respond practically to your real circumstances. Persistence begins with returning. You imagine peace and then anxiety appears. Return to peace. You imagine abundance and then fear about money appears. Return to possibility. You imagine success and then you experience a setback. Return to confidence. You imagine love and then loneliness appears. Return to the feeling of being worthy and open to connection. The goal is not to eliminate every uncomfortable emotion. The goal is to stop treating every uncomfortable emotion as proof that your desired future is impossible. Take a deep breath and say, asterisk, I can feel uncertainty without surrendering to it. I can see a temporary obstacle without making it permanent. I remain open to change. Asterisk. I do not need immediate evidence to remain hopeful. I choose to return to the state I desire. These words become especially important when reality seems loud. Perhaps you applied for something and received a rejection. Instead of deciding, I will never succeed, allow yourself to acknowledge the disappointment and then return to your larger vision. Ask yourself what practical step comes next. Apply again. Improve your approach. Learn something new. Speak to someone who can help. Persistence is not sitting still and waiting. It is continuing to move while refusing to let one outcome define your entire future. Perhaps someone does not respond to you the way you hoped. You may feel rejected. Let yourself feel what you feel, but do not immediately create a story that says, nobody will ever choose me. That is no longer the event. That is an interpretation. You can choose a healthier interpretation. Asterisk. This situation did not unfold as I hoped, but my life is still open to connection and love. Perhaps your finances are currently difficult. You can face the numbers honestly and take responsible action while still refusing to adopt the identity of someone who will always struggle. Your current financial situation is something you can work with. It is not necessarily a permanent definition of your worth or potential. Dutpins means holding two truths at once. Asterisk, I acknowledge where I am, and I remain open to where I can go. This balance is powerful. You do not need to deny the present to believe in the future.